This page is the front cover of DC UK Magazine, proudly proclaiming itself a new look issue. The headline feature is a silent scope, exclusive preview from the makers of Metal Gear Solid, showcasing a sniper aiming down his scope, which looks rather intense. They're also calling Jet Set Radio the grooviest game of all time, a bold but likely accurate claim. Reviews cover titles like Rainbow Six, Maken X, Plasma Sword, and Mr. Driller, alongside a look at the WW2 shooter Hidden and Dangerous and the superb Virtua Tennis. The issue promises 30 pages of in-depth previews, including Dead or Alive 2, Power Stone 2, and Sega Extreme Sports, with a tease of revelations about Half-Life, Space Channel 5, and more. Rather a lot packed into this one, eh? This page leads with a big feature on Gauntlet Legends, declaring it action and relaxin' multiplayer fun in the sun, alongside a rather relaxed-looking character on a beach. It's touted as the follow-up to the arcade smash, packed with levels, subquests, and classic characters. The DC intro from editor Keith Stewart reveals the office has been filled with conflict, mainly due to playing lots of fighting games, like Silent Scope, Dead or Alive 2, and Ultimate Fighting Championship. He finds the sniper action of Silent Scope thrilling, and admits the team is hooked on Virtua Tennis. Short previews highlight the unique style of Jet Set Radio, the fantastic multiplayer in Virtua Tennis, the fast combat of Dead or Alive 2, and the realistic strategy of the WW2 title Hidden and Dangerous, described like a classic war film. Seems like plenty to keep Dreamcast owners busy. This page lays out the contents for September 2000, proudly declaring itself the best Dreamcast magazine out there. The cover story dives deep into Silent Scope, the arcade sniper hit, while the features section highlights the return of survival horror, with Alone in the Dark IV. Reviews cover plenty of action, like the essential Sega classics Virtua Tennis and Dead or Alive 2, alongside the rather unique Maken X and the gritty WW2 strategy of Hidden and Dangerous. There's also a peek at what's coming in the Express section, featuring Dino Crisis and Soldier of Fortune, plus some handy tips for mastering Choo Choo Rocket and Fur Fighters. Looks like a packed month of gaming. This page kicks off the big cover feature on Silent Scope, declaring it one of the greatest shoot-'em-ups you'll ever play. It sets the scene with a description of a perfect sniper kill, highlighting the game's focus on precision, patience, and cunning, rather than just running and gunning. The article covers its arcade roots, where the unique sniper rifle controller and scope monitor concept made a splash, even if it courted a bit of controversy for its subject matter. Clearly the punters loved it though, making it a huge coin guzzler. Now, it's locked and loaded for the Dreamcast, promising that authentic sniper experience at home. The page is visually striking, mixing screenshots of the game's various locations and targets, with stylized bullet holes and red scope crosshairs. Looks like Konami brought something a bit different to the genre here. This page continues the deep dive into Silent Scope, showcasing the variety of missions and gameplay modes. We see glimpses of the target practice range, tense close-quarters shootouts, and epic boss battles against helicopters and weaponized trucks. It also highlights the clever use of night vision and infrared targeting. The article explains how the Dreamcast version masterfully translates the arcade's unique feel using the standard controller, focusing on the telescopic sight and precision shots rather than just wild spraying. The branching story mode sounds like it adds some welcome replayability, taking you through various scenarios like city rooftops, stadium showdowns, and highway chases. Plus, Konami is even cooking up an exclusive original mode for the home console crowd, which sounds like it'll add even more meat to the bone. Looks like October is the target for getting your virtual sniper credentials sorted out. This page kicks off the preview section, leading with the momentous news that Half-Life, PC Gamer's best PC game of all time, is finally heading to Dreamcast. Apparently it's not just a straight port, but comes with improved visuals and a brand new mission. We see shots of Gordon Freeman, Barney the security guard, and some rather nasty-looking alien beasts. The article touches on the original game's brilliant atmosphere and narrative flow, and highlights the Guard Duty spin-off being developed by Gearbox Software, focusing on Barney's perspective. There's also a personal reflection on playing the original Half-Life by PC Gamer's Kieran Gillen, waxing lyrical about its masterful pacing and ability to build tension from seemingly mundane beginnings before everything goes completely pear-shaped. Elsewhere on the page there's a quick index teasing previews for upcoming games like Power Stone 2, Aerowings 2, Space Channel 5, and Street Fighter II Third Strike, giving a little taster of what's to come. This page dives deeper into the world of Half-Life, explaining how the massive success of the original game spawned official expansions and countless mods. We see screens and read about Half-Life, the atmospheric masterpiece from 1998 that impressed with its story, weapons, and sound design. The feature also covers the spin-offs and community projects that became official releases. Team Fortress Classic, which started as a Quake mod before Valve polished it up. Opposing Force, the Gearbox-developed expansion following a Marine's perspective parallel to the original story, and the highly anticipated Team Fortress 2, promising heightened team combat chows. The article then focuses on the upcoming Dreamcast title, Guard Duty, which centers on Barney the security guard. It highlights how Barney's perspective as a humble worker affects the gameplay, leading to rudeness from scientists and different gear compared to Freeman. We learn Gearbox is involved in this version too, sprucing up weapon models like the shotgun, and enhancing visuals with more polygons and character variety. Despite all the excitement, the possibility of multiplayer remains a big question mark, with the publisher being tight-lipped. Ultimately, the piece praises the series' consistent ability to deliver atmospheric thrills and shocking moments. This page jumps into a preview for Power Stone 2, Capcom's lively beat-em-up making its way to Dreamcast. The big news is the leap to simultaneous 4-player combat, upping the chows considerably from the first game. The article highlights new fighters, varied interactive levels shown in several screenshots, and a bonkers item system. The preview gives a quick rundown of some stages like the Blue Sky area with its floating ship battles, the spooky Dark Castle, an iceberg area that ends with a swim, and the space station with its multi-level platforms. It mentions the game keeps the easy-to-pick-up fighting style and adds a shopping mechanic, where you can combine items found in levels to create even more ridiculous weapons. Developed by Capcom and published by Eidos, it's set for a September 2000 release. It looks like a right laugh with friends. This page continues the Power Stone 2 preview, shifting focus to the game's rather extensive item shop. Run by a charming lass, this hub offers 5 distinct services: Combine, Dressing Room, Shopping, Item Encyclopedia, and Conversation. You can take items you've gathered, bung them in an oven to create new contraptions, like giant musical notes or even a scarecrow stick, or dress your fighters up in new gear from head to toe. The shop also lets you buy and sell items, learn about everything you've collected, and chat with the shopkeeper. Apparently weather is a good fallback. The article also gives us a peek at a couple of bosses, including the final chap Valga's Reroad and a robot Sphinx thing. The reviewer seems genuinely excited, noting the move to 4-player action, while different from the original, creates hilariously chow-occultic battles on interactive stages filled with environmental hazards. The collectible item system, allowing for experimentation and combining, sounds like a real highlight, adding depth and replayability to Capcom's sequel. Overall, the preview paints a picture of Power Stone 2 being a thrilling and feature-rich follow-up that should deliver exactly what fans are hoping for. This page gives us a look at Extreme Sports, a multidiscipline game that throws you into a pentathlon of high-octane activities across 3 rather unwelcoming global locales: the Himalayas, Maui, and Norway. You'll be tackling snowboarding, ATV racing, mountain biking, speed gliding, and even bungee jumping, all seamlessly transitioned together. The developers, Innerloop, seem to have focused on making the switch between events as fluid as possible, like jumping from your glider straight into a sprint, or hopping on a bike. The preview highlights the DC UK exclusive nature of this first look, and touches on the 2-player split-screen mode, noting the rather unsporting ability to barge your opponent right off course, which sounds like a right laugh. It's set for release in October, offering a mix of speed, stunts, and frantic competition. This page dives into the brutal world of the Ultimate Fighting Championship on Dreamcast, promising a faithful recreation of the ultra-violent US event. The game features a roster of 22 real-life fighters, each with their own unique grappling styles derived from various martial arts and street fighting techniques. You'll see headbutts, knees to the crotch, and elbows to the throat, none of that flying phoenix nonsense you get in other beat-em-ups. Screenshots show off takedowns, ground and pound, submissions, you can win by tap-out apparently, and even pixelated blood flying about. Modes include a deep career mode where you train a rookie, versus Bayverse, create fighter, tournament, and title defense. The article notes that UFC stands apart from wrestling games due to its sheer fluidity and brutal reality, making it the ultimate fighting experience. The sidebar gives a quick history of the real UFC, founded by the Gracie family, which brought their devastating jiu-jitsu style to the fore. This page previews Magforce Racing, a sci-fi racer that seems designed to make you feel ill, much like cheap booze, It's described as being in the vein of Wipeout, featuring futuristic pods, weapons, and tracks that defy gravity. The headline, "I feel sick," and the quote, "Like cheap alcohol, they're fun and they make you feel sick," rather sum up the reviewer's experience. 5 circuits are highlighted. The twisty, stomach-churning Hawaii, the Total Recall-inspired Mars where you'll use the magnet feature to stick to walls, the mixed narrow and wide routes of Osaka, the roller coaster-like Himalaya, and the difficult Moscow track. The game features power-ups and split-screen multiplayer, though the handling is noted as a bit weird right now. This page dives into a preview of Aerowings 2, the sequel to last year's notoriously difficult flight simulator. The big news is right in the title. It's armed to the teeth this time around. The first game was a tough, technical sim focused purely on aerobatics, but the main complaint was you couldn't actually shoot anything. Aerowings 2 changes all that, adding full air-to-air combat to the mix, turning it into a proper military flight sim. It retains the ultra-realistic controls and graphics but introduces dogfighting, tactical challenges like shooting down balloons in training, and even supports 2-player split-screen and link-up multiplayer for some frantic head-to-head action. The replay feature sounds excellent, especially the missile replay, which follows your shot right to the target, as shown in a step-by-step guide. The review highlights the sensation of panic when locked onto, and praises the extensive range of military aircraft available. With superb lighting effects and realistic visuals, it's shaping up to be a flyboy's dream, and could be the next Top Gun when it lands. This page previews Space Channel 5, a rhythm action game described as the grooviest channel in the solar system. Forget gritty realism. This is about dancing and saving the world with style. You play as Ulala, a hot chick reporter in orange PVC, tasked with outdancing an alien race called the Merolians to free hostages. The core gameplay involves mimicking the Merolians' dance routines by pressing up, down, left, and right in time with the music, mixing in shots with the A and B buttons. It starts simple, but gets progressively more complex and faster. Making too many mistakes, 8, and you're out, means you lose your health hearts. The preview highlights the game's simplicity and addictive nature, praising the jazzy, funk, and street dance styles, groovy soundtrack, and spookily accurate animation. It seems the reviewer is quite smitten with Ula and the game's unique vibe, calling it a groovatastic romp. The next page dives headfirst into the world of Street Fighter 2i. Third Strike, proclaiming the return of 2D beat-em-ups. It looks like they're rather pleased with it, noting how it looks and moves beautifully. The preview highlights the game's core fighting mechanics, mentions familiar elements alongside a few new tweaks, and points out the return of classic bonus stages like Crush the Car and Block the Ball, calling it mindless vandalism in a fun sort of way. There's a decent roster of 19 fighters, including some new faces like Remy and 12, and the article stresses this is one for the hardcore fans, not necessarily picking up newcomers. The details list Capcom as the developer, originating from Japan, with a winter release date. Plenty of screenshots showcase the smooth animation and character designs. This page dives into the vibrant world of Jet Set Radio, a game blending funky skating, tagging, and escaping the bobbies. It's described as a refreshing take on gaming innovation, with a visual style that's both astounding and apartment. The core loop involves skating through districts, finding spray cans, and tagging specific areas, all while dodging an increasingly heavy-handed police force, led by the likes of the crazy police chief Onimisha and the smooth Professor K. Different sized tags require varying amounts of paint and effort, sometimes needing a series of analog stick inputs. The reviewer is clearly impressed, highlighting the game's intuitive controls for grinding and navigating the environment, and notes that despite moments of clumsiness, there's nothing that will put people off this dinner. The overall sentiment suggests this game is set to be a massive hit. This page previews Moho, an intriguing futuristic sports sim from Lost Toys, a studio founded by veterans of Bullfrog. The premise is certainly unique. Convicted prisoners compete in gladiatorial challenges with their lower halves replaced by large metallic balls, allowing for some seriously quick movement, apparently quicker than a Dalek on speed. The game features deformable environments which look like they undulate and can be surfed, and the preview highlights clever programming behind the rolling physics. While the reviewer admits the game doesn't look its absolute best in static screenshots, they find the mechanics dead interesting. There are also hopes for 4-player and online multiplayer modes in the Dreamcast version. The environments themselves have a distinct look, prompting a humorous caption about a famous interior designer's potential involvement in the walls. It sounds like a skills-based challenge, akin to a futuristic take on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but with less legs and more balls. This page continues the Moho preview, detailing the various events you'll compete in, including Last Man Rolling, Racing, and King of the Hill, where you've got to knock rivals off a platform. The reviewer feels it strongly channels a gladiator's vibe, which is fitting for a game about futuristic sports. They also chuckle at the character's unique design, lacking any limbs below the waist. On the right, there's a big advert for Redline magazine, promising a heady mix of cars, foxy birds, and general mucking about. Seems like a proper lad's mag, eh? This page features a deep dive into Alone in the Dark IV, the new nightmare. The article points out that the original Alone in the Dark essentially invented the survival horror genre, setting the stage with haunted mansions and fixed camera angles. However, it argues that Japanese developers, specifically Capcom with Resident Evil, took the concept and perfected it, becoming the dominant force. Now, the original French creators are back to reclaim their crown and reinvent the genre they started. The page shows images of the game's protagonists and eerie creatures, promising a return to terrifying roots. There's even a rather morbid pull quote, pondering the worst possible way to kick the bucket. It seems the gloves are off in the survival horror ring. This page delves deeper into Alone in the Dark IV, revealing some secret stories about its development and design. We learn about the game's narrative hooks, following Carnby's search for ancient tables on a spooky island, and introducing the second playable character, Aileen Cedrak, an anthropologist joining the investigation. The article highlights key gameplay mechanics, particularly the importance of the flashlight, as monsters react to light in different ways. Some retreat, others get rather stroppy. There's also a fascinating chat with game designer Pascal Lubin, who amusingly describes the intricate process of balancing the game's difficulty, showing off graphs that track the player's journey and potential pitfalls. He teases a major event halfway through, but is keeping Chatham on the details, naturally. The screenshots showcase the moody, atmospheric locations and some truly unpleasant-looking creatures, reinforcing that Darkworks is aiming for proper paranormal scares this time around, not just zombie shuffling. It sounds like they're putting the frighteners back into survival horror, giving Capcom a run for their money despite a smaller team. This page launches into the DC Express news, leading with the big story that Dino Crisis is set to hit the Dreamcast. It's rather aptly described as Resident Evil with dinosaurs, detailing the premise of investigating a research base overrun by prehistoric beasts unleashed by a time rip, starring the character Regina. The article notes, the DC version is a port of the PC release, but highlights some technical improvements over early Resident Evil games. The left side index gives us quick peeks at other news, like Soldier of Fortune, Grandia 2, and Evil Dead. There's also news on a Mr. Driller arcade sequel, with a hint of a potential DC port. A significant rumor section focuses on Resident Evil 3, starring Jill Valentine, potentially joining the Dreamcast lineup, adding to the considerable speculation about Capcom's DC plans. A too hot to handle list provides a temperature gauge for upcoming titles. It's a busy news section keeping Dreamcast owners in the loop. The next page carries on with more DC Express news, starting with the Chicken Run game, based on the film, which sounds like it mixes stealth and puzzle solving on Mrs. Tweedy's farm. In the light news, Sega is partnering with Virgin Net for a film channel via Dream Arena, and broadband is officially coming to the Dreamcast next year. Excellent! Get ready for a Mario Kart-style racer featuring the Looney Tunes crew in Space Race, with all your favorites like Bugs, Daffy, Elmer, and Wile E. Coyote hitting the tracks. There's also a brief mention of Cosmic Smash, a sort of Squash Meets Breakout arcade port. The main event is Soldier of Fortune, a notoriously violent first-person shooter, where you hunt down nukes as John Mullins. Apparently you'll need a code to unleash the full gore, and it's a port of the PC original, so don't expect brand new levels. Lastly, Record of Lodoss War is bringing a Japanese RPG experience that plays like a Western classic such as Baldur's Gate, featuring anime characters in an isometric world. Quite a mixed bag of announcements. The next page kicks off with some news hits from the Daily Radar UK team, mentioning Sega's rather fashionable custom Dreamcasts, and a glimmer of hope for a Quake 1 release on the console. We also hear about the Hydro Sportsboat racer trying to be the Gran Turismo of the waves, and a bit of bother over Sega's banned Choo Choo Rocket. Adverts. Big news arrives with Grandia 2 confirmed for a UK release via Ubisoft next spring. It sounds like a proper epic RPG, set in a world split by a war between good and evil, featuring exploration, puzzles involving manipulating waterways, and promises to be a very hard title to ignore. Moving on to some film tines, there's an action RPG based on Disney's Dinosaur, featuring 14 missions. And for something completely different, THQ is bringing the cult classic Evil Dead to the Dreamcast. You'll be stepping into Ash's boots, chainsaw in hand, to fight undead hordes in a third-person hack-em-up that's said to have more fluid combat than Resident Evil. Finally, there's a quick look at the Dreamcast Top 10 chart, listing the usual suspects like Tony Hawk, Crazy Taxi, and Resident Evil Code Veronica. The next page dives into peripherals and piracy. We kick off with news that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is heading to Dreamcast, promising all the tension of the TV show. Then, we get a look at the Mad Catz Panther DC, an arcade stick and trackball combo designed for first-person shooters like the upcoming Outrigger, aiming to replicate that coin-op feel. Mad Catz is also running a competition to win a bundle of their Dreamcast gear, including a rumble pack and steering wheel perfect for crazy taxi spills. Big news arrives regarding piracy, as the Dreamcast's encryption system has reportedly been cracked, allowing games to be burned onto feeds, raising concerns for Sega and developers alike. Our resident curmudgeon, Dave 2000, weighs in with a passionate defense of Echo the Dolphin, arguing it's a beautiful, stress-relieving experience, despite a questionable plot. He champions it as the ultimate retro game. Finally, there's a brief mention that a sequel to the utterly bizarre Seaman is on the way. The page is rounded off with an advert for the DC UK Game Tips hotline. This page reports on some hotly anticipated titles hitting the Dreamcast. First up, Quake 2 iArena gets the royal treatment from Raster Productions, promising speedy online battles where you can even take on PC players. They're packing in mouse and keyboard support, smooth graphics, split-screen multiplayer, and even more maps than the original PC version, including some unique to Dreamcast. Looks like it's shaping up nicely for a November UK release, apparently running like a dream even on a 56.6 modem, which is frankly unbelievable. Yes. Then there's Armada 2, Exodus, which isn't the simple shooter some might expect, but a full-blown strategy game. You play a governor fighting back against a new alien invasion, managing safe havens, and upgrading your spaceship in real-time battles. It sounds like quite the deep space sim, with online trading and monstrous bosses to boot. Finally, Dark Angel. Apocalypse brings the mutant/vampire apocalypse to the DC as an action/strategy hybrid. Battling Warlord Yagma and a plague that turns people into mutants, you'll see the game world change around you as you fight for survival. Seems it's got a bit of a Xena vibe going on. Looks like plenty of variety coming our way. The next page is packed with Japanese news. Leading the charge is Slash Out, the medieval sequel to the arcade beat-em-up Spike Out. Forget bare knuckles, this time it's all about swords and sorcery in a 3D roaming environment, with dynamic levels that change based on your actions. Looks like you'll be fighting some truly bizarre foes, including what appears to be a big pink pig with boxing gloves. Absolutely barking. Also featured is Giant Graham 2000, bringing masses of sweaty, liquor-clad Japanese wrestlers to the Dreamcast with a boatload of fighters, and even a character creation mode. Another RPG is inbound with Ring Age, offering a monster hunting quest with an online mode for up to 4 players. Metal Max, yet another RPG, looks like a monster hunter set in a 3D wasteland. Istra. There's also news of Magic: The Gathering getting an RPG conversion for Dreamcast, complete with online play, and a juicy rumor about an arcade sequel to the classic Space Harrier. Finally, for those with toddlers, Sega's made some arcade coloring games based on Disney characters, if you're into that sort of thing. This page features pop group Scooch getting stuck into Space Channel 5, Sega's bizarrely brilliant rhythm game. The article notes that both the game and the band are rather manufactured, which is a bit cheeky but probably fair enough. The band members, Russ, Natalie, David and Caroline, give their thoughts on the game, comparing it to other rhythm titles like Parappa the Rapper and even Spice Girls World Crikey. They seem to enjoy the dancing aspect and graphics, but find the gameplay itself a bit tricky at times. Apparently one member, Caroline, even struggles with left and right coordination, which is rather unfortunate for a dancer. David reckons it's probably aimed at teenagers, which sounds about right for a game, starring a groovy news reporter battling aliens by mimicking dance moves. There's a profile box on Scooch detailing their chart success and album release, and a shot of the game's main character, Eula. This page kicks off with a couple of sections. On the left you've got the Incoming area from Daily Radar UK, teasing upcoming games news with a radar graphic and listing the platforms they cover. including Dreamcast. The right side then launches into the DC reviews section, boldly claiming to be the only one you need to trust. The main visual is a massive screenshot of Sega's brilliant Virtua Tennis, which has clearly earned itself a top-tier DC UK Essential badge. The review index shows the games reviewed this issue: Virtua Tennis, Dead or Alive 2, Hidden and Dangerous, Make an X, Plasma Sword, Gigawing, Rainbow Six, Mr. Driller, Tokyo Highway Challenge 2, and Rent a Hero are all covered. You also get smaller screenshots showing Dead or Alive 2 is another essential title, while Hidden and Dangerous, Plasma Sword, and the digging puzzler Mr. Driller all grab recommends badges. A section titled What's the Score explains their review process, promising honest, experienced reviews using a clear 10-point scale where 5 is average and 10 is truly exceptional. Little boxes define what the recommends and essential badges signify. This page dives straight into the review of Virtua Tennis, heralded here as a DC UK Essential. The bold title and large character render leave no doubt about the game's prominence. The review text declares it one of the most addictive, accessible, and entertaining games available, stating it's even more fun than, well, let's just say they really enjoyed it. Tiny. You see multiple screenshots showing the game in action on different court surfaces: grass, clay, and hard court, featuring players like Henman, Philippoussis, Johansson, Kafelnikov, Moya, and Pyaline. The review praises the game's perfect capture of the sport, highlighting the controls, which are simple to pick up, but offer surprising depth for advanced shots like drops, lobs, and smashes. It mentions the World Circuit mode provides a solid long-term challenge, and the 4-player doubles mode is called out as potentially the most exciting and outrageous multiplayer available. It's clear they think this conversion of the arcade hit is an absolute winner. This page focuses entirely on Virtua Tennis, specifically diving into the ball breakers training games that are a core part of the World Circuit mode. These mini-games, like Giant Ball where you smack small balls at a huge one, or Pin Crasher which is essentially tennis bowling, are designed to hone your skills. You also see screenshots illustrating games like Big Wall, hitting panels, Cannonball, dodging red balls while hitting yellow ones, Drum Shooter, lobbing into drums, and Bullseye, hitting targets. They're described as hideously addictive and offering 3 levels of difficulty that become tooth-grinding ly tough. Sounds like a right laugh, doesn't it? The review also mentions shops in World Circuit, where you can buy extras like courts, clothing, and energy drinks, using your winnings, which is a rather clever touch. The DC UK verdict gives it a solid 9, praising the fantastic graphics and sound, particularly the gruntantastic SFX, calling it the best tennis game ever, and incredibly addictive. This page is dedicated to a glowing review of Dead or Alive 2 on the Dreamcast, featuring a huge title graphic and an image of the character Kasumi. The main quote calls it an exceptional beat-em-up that can hold its head high alongside classic fighters Soul Calibur and Power Stone, even awarding it a DC UK Essential badge. You see several screenshots showcasing the frantic 3D combat, with characters like Hayabusa, Aina, Tina, Kasumi, Janli, and Tengu midfight. There's a section detailing the tagging for it mode, explaining how the 4-player tag battle works, allowing pairs of fighters to team up. The review openly declares, "You've probably gathered we're in love with Doa 2, praising the astounding graphics, which are deemed superior to the PS2 version, and the intuitive fighting system that includes throws, holds, and interactive arenas." The details box lists Acclaim and Tecmo as publisher and developer. A release in August for £39.99, supporting 1 to 2 players with 60 Hz and vibration features. It sounds like they were rather chuffed with this one. This page continues the deep dive into Dead or Alive 2, reinforcing the review's glowing assessment with a massive image of Helena in a rather fetching bikini. The headline boasts about the spectacular interactive fighting arenas and multi-level environments that let you smack opponents down levels. Screenshots showcase the chaotic action featuring characters like Yan Li, Zack, Kasumi, Tina, Ain, Ayane, Helena, Hayabusa, and Leon, with captions adding a touch of humor, noting things like yoga exercises and, frankly, the game's generous camera angles. The review highlights the excellent tag battle mode and praises the fighting system, though it does point out the story mode is a bit brief. It confidently states the Dreamcast version looks superior to the PS2, and the overall verdict is a cracking 9 out of 10, calling it a truly excellent beat-em-up. Looks like they absolutely loved it. This page features a review of Hidden and Dangerous, described as a demanding WW2 squad-based strategy shooter for thinking gamers. The review highlights the game's commitment to realism, stating that soldiers die permanently, and you won't be having a pleasant experience if you try to play it like Rambo. You pick a squad of 8 SAS troopers from a pool of 40 volunteers, each with their own skills, and if they're gone, they're gone. It's certainly not for the faint-hearted. Apparently you'll be 6 feet under before you say, "I'll be back." Developed by Illusion Softworks and published by Take-Two, the game is praised for its attention to detail in crafting missions and troop attributes, drawing from 1940s history. Screenshots show various gameplay scenarios including stealing a gunboat, soldiers in formation, vehicles like a plane and tank, driving sequences, and sniping. The reviewer finds the game engrossing despite its tough difficulty and realistic approach, noting the AI can sometimes be a bit daft, but overall, it's a rock-hard game that requires tactical thought rather than brute force. The controls, adapted from PC, apparently work well enough on the Dreamcast pad. This page continues the review of Hidden and Dangerous, detailing the crucial in-game commands and map features essential for tactical squad control. Apparently mastering the map is key for troop movement, especially after clearing areas. The game supports various combat styles, from sneaky stealth missions using snipers to full-on assaults, thanks to well-designed levels. The DC UK verdict rates the graphics highly and praises the sound, barring the bit where you pop your clogs. Gameplay is called beautifully crafted but fiendishly hard to complete, earning the game an 8 out of 10 overall for being a top-notch port of an excellent PC game, despite a few minor quibbles mentioned in the conclusion by John Jordan. This page also features a large advert for Gameplay.com, advertising their website for buying games, consoles, accessories, and guides with free delivery. This page dives into the quirky world of Make an X, a game where you wield a sword with an artificial brain that lets you interact with the spirit world. The core mechanic, brainjacking, allows you to possess enemies, each offering unique stats and abilities, crucial for navigating the levels and solving environmental puzzles. Visually, it's quite striking, with heavily stylized characters and backgrounds giving off distinct vibes, a bit like something out of Dark City. The combat involves leaping, dodging, and striking with bladed weapons from a first-person perspective. The review highlights that the depth of the game only truly becomes apparent after spending some serious time with it, rewarding patient players who master the brainjacking system and strategize their approach. It's certainly not your average action-adventure title, offering an innovative and bizarre, yet addictive experience that earned it a solid 8 out of 10 overall. There's also a neat little feature comparing the game's possession theme to classic movies like The Exorcist and The Matrix. This page is a massive advert from Gameplay.com, flogging a heap of Dreamcast games and accessories, with many titles going for a tidy £29.99 or less. This page is a review of Capcom's fighting game, Plasma Sword. It's described as a sequel or revamp of Star Gladiator, and the reviewer notes that while Capcom are masters of the genre, this one doesn't quite hit the mark. The review highlights that the most important thing in a fighter is how the characters play, and here things go really skew-whiffed. The game features a decent number of fighters, though many are just variations, meaning there are closer to a dozen unique combatants. The fighting system includes standard Cap.com fare, along with a provoke function for taunts, and a move function mimicking Soul Calibur's 8-way run. Plasma attacks add extra flair, like stun abilities and a plasma field that grants temporary power-ups, although the reviewer sees this as just another name for a power bar. The verdict is rather damning, scoring the game a mere 5 out of 10. Graphics are said to only manage a PlayStation impression, the sound is abysmal, gameplay is blandest, and even multiplayer is just tolerable. Curiously, there's a DC UK recommend sticker on one of the screenshots, which stands in stark contrast to the negative review and low score. Ultimately, the reviewer suggests picking up Marvel vs. Capcom 2, or Power Stone instead. This page features a couple of exciting racing games up for pre-order, and a review of a classic arcade blast. First up, Metropolis Street Racer is set to offer some serious driving through Tokyo, London, and San Francisco, with a selection of 40 cars, boasting arcade visuals, and a physics engine that sounds rather promising. If you're after something a bit more specific, Ferrari 355 Challenge is highlighted as an awesome simulation, bringing famous tracks and precision handling from the arcade to your console. The main review covers Capcom's vertical shooter, Gigawing. It's described as a high-intensity, retro-style bullet fest, perfect for those who appreciate old-school, 2D mayhem. The reviewer notes the cracking 2D art and crunching sound effects, calling it adrenaline-fueled. Although the gameplay might be short-lived, it's still considered a good blast, earning a solid 7 out of 10 for its pure arcade fun. There are also lists of special bundle offers and peripherals available, just in case you need a new controller or memory card to keep up with the action. This page features an in-depth review of the tactical shooter, Rainbow Six. It kicks off with a pull quote, suggesting the game isn't quite up to the standard of hidden and dangerous but is still absorbing and detailed, promising to delight players. The review highlights that this isn't your typical run-and-gun first-person shooter like Half-Life. Instead, Rainbow Six is all about meticulous planning, accuracy, and strategic thinking, with every aspect detailed down to a level usually reserved for major life events. You're gently guided through the game's mechanics via a comprehensive manual and detailed in-game help, including training missions. The core of the game lies in the extensive planning phase before each mission, where you pore over briefings and intelligence reports. Squad management is key, allowing you to select your 6-person team based on their skills and even pick their weapons, although the game often does this automatically. The review notes the consequence of losing a soldier is permanent, so protecting your best fighters is paramount. Gameplay shifts between controlling the leader of one team and issuing commands to others via a tactical map, emphasizing stealth and careful progression rather than brute force. It wraps up noting that while it has some flaws like slowdown and a lack of multiplayer compared to previous versions, the immense depth of planning and strategic gameplay makes Rainbow Six a highly enjoyable and engrossing experience, earning it a solid 7 out of 10. This page dives into a review of the incredibly addictive puzzle game, Mr. Driller. The reviewer reckons it's like a brilliant mashup of Tetris, Dig Dug, and Boulder Dash. You play as the titular Mr. Driller, a chap who just wants to dig down through an endless pile of colored blocks, snagging air capsules to survive while avoiding being crushed by falling debris. The simple premise is deceptive, as managing your air supply and making quick decisions about which blocks to drill becomes quite the frantic challenge, especially when you factor in the blocks of the same color disappearing when grouped. Screenshots pepper the page showing the colorful blocks, the depth counter, the air meter, and Mr. Driller himself looking rather determined. The verdict praises the simple, garish yet perfect graphics and the brilliant soundtrack, though the reviewer laments the lack of a 2-player option, knocking it down a notch to an 8 out of 10. Still, sounds like a proper puzzler that'll sink its hooks into you. This page is dedicated to an import review of Shootaku Highway Battle 2, the sequel to what was apparently a rather rubbish original. The reviewer is clearly impressed, hailing it as potentially the fastest driving game available on the Dreamcast. The core concept revolves around participating in Japan's infamous midnight club scene, street racing highly tuned cars on the Tokyo highways at night, flashing your lights to challenge opponents. Screenshots showcase the action, depicting various cars tearing along the dark roads, highlighting the impressive lighting and detailed car models. Captions reveal snippets of the on-track drama, from hitting the brakes to dealing with slow bloody tourists, and even getting into bumps. The game boasts a huge mapped area of Tokyo, and features a deep tuning system, allowing you to tweak your vehicle to improve performance. The verdict is overwhelmingly positive, particularly praising the graphics and the sheer sense of speed, noting it runs at a smooth 60 FPS. Despite a few minor technical hiccups like occasional slowdown and a slight buffering pause, and the lack of a 2-player mode, Shootaku Highway Battle 2 scores a solid 8 out of 10, described as a compelling racer offering plenty of thrills. Looks like the sequel fixed all the original's problems and then some. This page delves into a rather peculiar import title called Rent a Hero No. 1. It seems the review focuses on the sheer absurdity of the game, where you get jobs via email and run around dressed as a superhero to complete them. Screenshots show off some truly strange scenes, including a room with a tiger rug and a character fighting a giant dinosaur. The reviewer notes the game's bizarre sense of humor and detailed carpets, which is nice, but it sounds like the gameplay itself is a bit of a faff with clunky controls and graphics that aren't exactly cutting edge. The verdict gives it a rather low score, suggesting it's only for those with a penchant for the stupid and the ability to read Japanese. There's also an import chart showing what UK gamers have been buying this month, with Jet Set Radio still riding high at number 1, followed by fighting classics like Street Fighter II, Third Strike and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and some sporty action with Virtua Tennis. The rest of the page is filled with adverts for various import game and console retailers. This page features the Declistings reviews, offering a comprehensive rundown of Dreamcast games to help you avoid wasting your hard-earned cash. It lists titles across various genres, like action/adventure, sports, and RPG, giving a brief description and score for what seems like nearly every game available at the time. Rather than listing every single entry, let's just say it's quite the extensive list, covering everything from Sonic Adventure to Crazy Taxi. There's also a handy section on peripherals. They cover Sega's own kit like the standard joypad and the slightly problematic VMU memory card, alongside light guns. More interestingly, they recommend third-party options, highlighting a Mad Catz joypad and a Pelican memory card with 4 times the storage, steering wheels, an arcade stick perfect for arcade ports, and even a fishing rod peripheral get a look in too, because, why not? This page brings us the reader reviews, where the chaps at home give their verdict on some Dreamcast titles, proving that sometimes, just sometimes, they don't see eye to eye with the magazine's professional opinion. We hear from players on Virtua Striker 2, which doesn't seem to impress anyone, Power Stone, hailed as a proper gem, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, getting sky-high praise as the best Resident Evil game yet, and SWWS €2,000 edition, which also gets a glowing review. There's also a little panel about winning prizes just for sending in your thoughts. Flipping over to the Dick Tip section, our cheats gun is loaded. First up is a guide for the madcap puzzle game Choo Choo Rocket. Caillou, promising to knock your socks off. Below that, part 1 of a guide for fur fighters begins, offering tips on how to handle those seemingly cute, but potentially lethal critters. Looks like plenty of help on offer for those struggling with Sega's finest. The next page delivers on the promise of Choo Choo Rocket. Tips, presenting a full-blown puzzles unlocked the complete solution. This guide is your key to conquering the game's 100 brain-teasing levels, split across normal, hard and special stages. It explains its simple coordinate system for placing arrows on the puzzle grid, along with the required direction. Each stage section lists the puzzles with their solutions provided using this system, often accompanied by helpful hints and screenshots of the tricky levels. There's even a section offering the 11 Choo Choo Commandments, general pearls of wisdom for navigating the game's unique challenges. Absolutely essential if you're stuck getting those mice to the rocket. This page continues the essential Choo Choo Rocket puzzle walkthrough, tackling the beastly Stage 4, Mania with solutions for all 25 levels. Polish these off, and you'll earn the right to swap out the standard mice for the rather charming PNs. A proper treat. But if you fancy a bit of competitive fun, there's the 9 Steps to Online Zen, a cracking guide to dominating multiplayer. It dishes out advice on everything from choosing your battles and ruling the Mouse Mania chows, to the absolutely vital timing when Kapukapus are on the prowl. Scattered hints and screenshots give you a leg up on the trickiest challenges. Top stuff for any aspiring Choo Choo champion. This page is absolutely rammed with cheat codes and tips for a stack of Dreamcast classics, split into standard DA tips, and those requiring the Action Replay CDX device. You've got codes for MDK2, NHL2K, GTA 2, Sword of the Berserk, and Wacky Races, offering everything from detached cameras and matrix modes, to starting with loads of cash and weapons in GTA 2, plus a weird Elvis trick. Then there's the CDX section, unlocking even more mischief for games like Wafer Striker, Sega Bass Fishing, Soul Calibur, Infinite Health, Crazy Taxi, Unlimited Time, Generous Tips, NHL 2K, Sword of the Berserk and Wacky Races. These cheats let you manipulate scores, enable characters, get unlimited resources, and unlock content. Visually, there's a brooding shot of guts from Sword of the Berserk, a chow-tatic screenshot from Wacky Races, and a glimpse of some illicit hockey action in NHL 2K, along with the Action Replay hardware itself. Separately, there's a bold statement declaring, "Video gaming is changing, so is its Bible," mentioning the date 14.8.00, and listing various platforms, hinting at the evolving gaming landscape. This page kicks off a comprehensive walkthrough for fur fighters, promising to guide you through rescuing all the adorable babies. It sets the scene, highlighting the game's mix of puzzles and shoot-'em-up action. The guide dives straight into the first areas, the Undermill Training Zone and the World Quack Center, detailing how to navigate the levels and find the initial set of babies like Sonia, Lien, and Angus. It also breaks down the game's unique challenges, covering puzzles like the clock, tower, and plug puzzles, plus bonus games like disco dancing and basketball. Moving into Level 2, Lower East Quack, it continues the baby rescue mission, offering tips on finding characters like Tam, Lou, and Dweek, and tackling the tricky encounters. It's a solid guide to getting you started on this quirky, furry adventure. This page carries on the epic journey through the fur fighter's world, picking up the walkthrough in Level 3, the Quackenheim Museum. It guides you through rescuing a whole troop of babies, including Melinda, Alexander and Brigitte, while navigating tricky areas like the cat art section and tackling puzzles such as the boiler and the delightful My Favorite Things Cinema Challenge. You'll also track down Petey, Juan, Puig, Loic, Buick and Leonard before facing off against the formidable boss, Gwynth. The guide then transitions to World Beaver Power. Level 1. Compound Factions, detailing the rescues of Michelle, Mary, Philip, Sue, Jason, Peter, Agnes, and Marianne. The accompanying screenshots give a glimpse of the action, from navigating the maze of crates to scaling the impressive Vigo sculpture. It's quite the list of little ones to round up, eh? This page continues the comprehensive walkthrough for fur fighters, picking up the action in the Beaver Power world. It guides you through Level 2, the God Machine Valley, detailing exactly how to rescue all 10 babies including Wayne, Francois and Marag, alongside tips for the Dinatopolis and Crusher puzzles. The guide then moves on to Level 3, the Beaver Dam, showing you the ropes to save Vincent, Lauren and Fuik, before tackling the mini-boss robot and the final boss, Juanita, who transforms into a rather formidable avian adversary. Plenty of little critters to track down, and some tricky bosses to sort out, eh? This page features the popular Ask Auntie Esther section, where readers fire off their burning Dreamcast questions. Topics covered are quite varied, from finding decent third-party VMUS and navigating internet access charges, to technical queries about chipped consoles, PAL/NTSC compatibility, and capturing clear screenshots. Hint: avoid the flash. Readers are also keen for info on game releases, asking about titles like Half-Life, due in October, Speedball 2001, unlikely sadly, and arcade ports like Crisis Zone, not planned for DC. There's also clarification on WWF, Royal Rumble supporting 8 players, not 6 as previously stated, and advice for anyone dreaming of making their own games. Screenshots showcase Half-Life and Choo Choo Rocket. This page is all about proving your gaming skills with the DC UK Interactive Challenge. You can test your mettle in various games, like finishing Code, Veronica Fastest, landing the biggest combo in Tony Hawk's skateboarding, surviving the longest in Soul Calibur, catching a monster in Sega Bass Fishing, or pulling off insane feats in Crazy Taxi. There are also high scores to beat for Crazy Taxi, Crazy Jump, Crazy Jam, Crazy Flag, Soul Calibur, Survival Mode, and Virtua Striker 2, scoring big goals. If you reckon you've got what it takes to top the charts, or complete a challenge, send in photographic proof of your efforts. The best scores land you a Mad Catz joypad, which is jolly nice. Don't forget to use the game's default settings, no cheating. This page dives into the D-Mail section, where Dreamcast fans unleash their opinions. Readers praise the Dreamcast, debating games like Virtua Tennis vs Silent Scope, and lamenting the hype surrounding the PlayStation 2, often before anyone's even played it. The magazine staff weigh in, agreeing that Dreamcast exclusives like Crazy Taxi and Shenmue are superior to lazy PC ports like the Tomb Raider disaster. They also address changes to the magazine layout based on reader feedback. There are screenshots of Shenmue, Virtua Tennis, Rayman 2, Dead or Alive 2, and a feature on Choo Choo Rocket, Pooh, which apparently causes massive phone bills. Finally, the Mail of the Month winner is announced, bagging some games and a VMU. It's clear the Dreamcast faithful are passionate, and rightly so. The next page declares total immersion in the utterly charming yet slightly unnerving world of Choo Choo Rocket. A game so addictive it apparently infiltrates your dreams. The reviewers are clearly smitten, highlighting various online resources for fans, from translation sites for the game's quirky Japanese vocals, to pages dedicated to mastering the theme music. It's mentioned that a staggering 100,000 players in Europe have signed up for the online version, proving the obsession isn't just confined to the magazine staff. The page also gets hooked on classics, revealing that the Dream Library online service is expanding to include downloadable Sega favorites like Shinobi, Glock, and Galaxy Force. Finally, there's a quick look at VMU minigames and downloadable game saves for titles like Code Veronica and Crazy Taxi. This page is a full-page subscription offer for DC UK Magazine, highlighting the bargain price of £6 every 3 months by direct debit, a free CD case, and other benefits like free delivery and a risk-free guarantee. The next page is a preview of what's coming in the next issue of DC UK. The big headline is the UK version of Power Stone 2, getting an exclusive review. Apparently Capcom's fighting romp is staggeringly good, so that's something to look forward to, isn't it? Beyond the main event, the next issue promises a load more goodies. We're talking Metropolis Street Racer, Sydney 2000 F355 Challenge, and even an Echo swim-through, because everyone needs help with that underwater dolphin simulator, right? Plus, there's the usual dose of global news and loads more. This is all for issue 14 of the Dreamcast Magazine DC UK, set to hit the shelves on the 30th of August. You've even got a cracking bit of character art from Power Stone 2, and a cheeky glimpse of a Dreamcast controller to whet your appetite. This page serves as a comprehensive DC web directory and DC buyer's guide, listing various online stores and retailers for all your Dreamcast needs, and frankly, a few things you didn't even know you needed, like designer clothing apparently. It details websites offering games, accessories, imports, repairs, and even animation art. There's a substantial summer sale and new releases section within the buyer's guide, showcasing available games and their prices, which is handy if you're looking to expand your collection or bag a bargain. Large adverts promote specific outlets like Cybernet Film Studio and JustGames.net, highlighting their offers and services. Plus, there's a cheeky reminder that you can advertise your own website to reach the DC UK readership. Looks like there's no shortage of places to drop your hard-earned cash. This page features the DC Final Team Diary, where Esther gives us a glimpse into the behind-the-scenes antics at DC UK. We get snippets of office life, including tales from Glastonbury, skip that, football clashes against Arcade magazine, and birthday celebrations. Highlights include a quote from Keith about not being Anne Robinson, and a hilarious photo series titled Maximus vs. Tiger, detailing Neil defending his birthday cake from Toby's predatory instincts. There's also a random list of topics discussed at the office, from defrosting a fridge to bowel movements. The other side of the page includes a large advertisement for Netscape Online, offering free internet access, with users only paying the cost of a local phone call. This page serves up a feature on Dead or Alive 2, Tecmo's lightning-fast fighter, that gets a glowing review. The reviewer calls it one of the freshest beat-em-ups out there, praising its intuitive gameplay for newcomers and depth for veterans, particularly the counter system. Screenshots show off characters like Tina and Bass Midbout, looking rather dynamic. Apparently the graphics and presentation are top-notch, and the multiplayer is a cracking good time, making the £29.99 price tag feel like a steal. You could grab it from gameplay.com, using methods ranging from a phone call to, rather quaintly, interactive TV. Beside that, a large block explains that this is a preliminary scan, part of the out-of-print archive project, dedicated to saving classic gaming magazines from obscurity. It sounds like a massive undertaking, digitizing and restoring these old issues, which requires considerable time and effort per magazine. The project aims to preserve gaming history for everyone to enjoy, which is certainly a commendable goal, albeit clearly a huge labor of love.